Mic check, mic check. Hey, what's up, and thanks for watching TopKlass Tutorials. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down how I mixed the song Lap Dance by Picasso AV, produced by BLESSHION. Quick little background behind the story. Artist hit me up, said he had recorded this at home, so he sent over everything for me to check out. I told him I loved it. I'd love to work on it. We got to working on it, and through the process, we kind of went through 10 different mixes, or at least we got to like mix number 10, and he told me that, mix number 10 was perfect. So we settled on that and called it done. So I'll go ahead and play the song that he had sent me. So this track right here is the original reference track the artist sent me. This was his recording that he had mixed at his studio. So this is what I had to kind of go off of. So I'll play that, and then after I'll play my finished mix. So here is the reference mix. Okay, cool. So that was the reference that the artist sent to me, and now I'm going to play my version.
I've been thinking about you all day long. Your body in the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body, your touch, your body. Wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body. Can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body. Can I own your body? Let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see. I can't pretend to. I just wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to handle. Like I sweat a dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel, falling like an angel, climbing high to the heavens. Bless me with this lap dance. Come on, silhouette in the spotlight so perfect. Baby, you so worth it. Let me drop 10,000, make it rain on that body, break that. Said I can't pretend, yo. Act like I can't see, I can't pretend. I just wanna get a little bit. You out with every move, you draw me closer. Body language speaking, then they tell me to come over. It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Falling like an angel, babe. Climbing high to the heavens, bless me with this love. Come on, let me dance, 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 dance,
All right, so cool. That's my version. And I'm gonna go ahead and start breaking down kind of how I got this sound, my mix process, my thought process. So the first thing is always getting it all loaded in. I used a template for this one. I always kind of start with the beat. Now some of these drops and edits I kind of added as I was kind of working with the vocals at the same time, but ultimately it kind of already sounded like this. I just had to import everything. I added some reverb to it, which I'll mute, and I will play just the beat by itself so you can hear that without anything that I did to it. And there's like some EQ stuff on these tracks as well. So it's not completely untouched, but I'll go ahead and play what it sounds like. So that's pretty much the beat, and I didn't have to do much. I just kind of did some volume adjustments and kind of balanced things a little bit more. I did an EQ adjustment on a couple things to take away some of the high end. But again, most of the production was already just solid. The producer did a great job. I really like this, the vibe of this beat, so I didn't have to do too much to it. The only thing that really caught my attention was it felt just particularly dry, and mostly just when I took the drums out, just some of these instruments just felt really kind of just lacking. So it sounded okay, but I wanted to just give it something more. It just felt just like it was kind of lacking something. So I created a reverb send, and I just used just the typical or the stock plugin deverb for my reverb. Set it to a large plate, 1.6 seconds. No pre-delay. I have a high pass filter or high filter cut at around 13 kilohertz. So I mixes at 100% because it's a send. Diffusion set to that, low pass filter. So that's the reverb that I use, and then I also have an EQ on here, just kind of doing just a roll off. I think just I wanted to have an EQ on here just to kind of play with, even though there were some options in the reverb. So this is with the reverb plugin on here. I could just help some of those instruments kind of fill out the space a little bit more. Listen to when I play it, and I'll mute the reverb, and you'll completely hear a difference. So it just kind of helps the beat kind of fill out more space. Also kind of helps it feel a little bit more in the background. I kind of wanted this kind of echoey effect because the beat kind of had this kind of just kind of had the vibe that I was going for. And so that's all I really did with the beat. Just a couple trim plugins on here just to adjust the volume. And that's pretty much it. All right, that confirmed that. Okay, um, so that was the instrumental, and then I have the vocals down here. Now, the vocals that were originally sent to me, let me make this a little bit bigger. I will say these are edited vocals. They're what I will do with my lead vocals. I'll make these tracks visible. So these are the original lead vocals that these are the original lead vocals that I edited and made some changes to really kind of just be just good without any imperfections or without anything that I don't like before it goes to my vocal bus. So now that these are active, I'll kind of show you that. Just zoom in on this one right here. So like right in here, I kind of went in and did manual edits and tuning. I have auto tune on here. I have a flanger on a couple of these vocals. And really what I like to do is, auto tune comes out with new updates. And sometimes over time, if you go to open up these older sessions that have versions of like auto tune 6 and 7 and 8, I don't have those versions of auto tune anymore. I've just updated over the years to the latest version. But if I go to open these sessions that don't have that version of auto tune, sometimes they don't convert up to the newest version, and you have to kind of start over again. So what I really like to do is when I have the lead vocal kind of good, or at least when the client kind of okays everything and I start doing all the final mix downs and everything like that, I'll commit all of my audio tracks with all of the effects and stuff in them. And I don't delete the original tracks. I just hide them and make them inactive. So if I ever need to go back to them, I can. But at least this way, if I have to do some editing on this project in the future, I don't have to worry about it. When I open it, it doesn't sound like how it should because the plugin's not working or missing or whatever. So I love to commit the tracks. And also, I'll take a couple extra steps to make sure that I don't lose kind of any progress. So I'll save a version of the vocal that says tuned in the playlist, where I basically commit the auto tune and then I just save it. And that way, if I do have to go back and do like something to adjust it, post auto tune but pre something else, I can kind of do just that. So just kind of just making sure like I cover my ass, so that way if anything goes wrong, I can just really look like a superhero and save the day, and people will really appreciate that. So we'll make these inactive because I don't need them right now. I just wanted to show kind of my process and kind of how it went from this to all of these other tracks down here. So let's hit option A and then make it bigger again. All right, so these are all the lead vocals. I did all my edits and everything like that, and then I have everything routed to these three aux tracks right here, one for my lead vocals, one for my background vocals, and one for my ad libs. And this kind of changes depending on each session. Sometimes I do like a lot of trap stuff where I don't really separate the vocals. They all go to one like vocal bus, and I process kind of everything together. Um, I might have like a lead vocal track and then like an ad lib like bus, or something like that. With a lot of trap songs, sometimes it's just just like a lead vocal. It's not really ad libs. Sometimes, just depends on the artist. So anywho, I have these three buses right here that are controlling my different groups, and these are all color coded and separated. All of my ad libs are in pink. All of my background vocals are in yellow, and all of these bluish purple tracks are my lead vocal. And they are also kind of matching the order as well. So lead vocal is the blue, background vocal orange. So I have everything just organized and kind of neatly color coded, so that way I can quickly kind of navigate through this session and make changes. And also when I send this to another engineer, they'll appreciate that everything's nice and organized. And then these green tracks, I like to use lime green to kind of for my effects tracks, my delays, reverbs, flangers, and any type of other special effects for my vocals. I have those kind of doing some other cool things at the end that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But first, what I kind of want to do is talk about my process and how I go about like mixing vocals, and kind of where I start and kind of where I go from there. So I always start with the lead vocal. That is my number one way of doing things. I always get the lead vocal tight and then build everything else around the lead vocal. Now there is kind of like a push and pull kind of situation. Those of you who kind of know about kind of how music mixing works, you kind of mute things and unmute things. So I'll get the vocal right, and then I'll mute the vocal, and then I'll work on just like the background vocals, but then I'll kind of add the background vocals into the lead vocal, but then I won't, I'll kind of make the background vocals kind of blend around the lead vocal once I get the background vocals neat and tight how I want them. So it's just kind of this like push and pull kind of situation. And I always like to also describe it kind of like, think of it, you have a block of wood or like a block of ice, or just like I don't know, anything kind of similar to that, like clay or sculpting stuff or anything like that. And someone brings me their idea, so they sculpt or shape whatever their material is into kind of like a person or a shape of a person or something like that. So and they're like doing something or in a kind of position that they kind of expect it to kind of look like, right? But it doesn't quite have the final kind of polished look that they want, and they bring that to me, and they just want me to essentially just kind of refine the edges, right? So that's kind of always my thought process with these projects. Is it's kind of like just chiseling away at a block of wood or kind of sculpting this clay. You don't just get like one tool and just make one quick foul, like quick swoop at it, and all of a sudden it goes from being this unfinished product to being just this perfect masterpiece. You have to kind of whittle away in it and kind of look at it from different angles, decide what tools you're going to use, try different tools. So I like to look at it like that. This isn't like a 2 + 2 = 4 kind of job. This is more of a if you mix these colors together, what color will you end up with, and what can you do with that color? It's kind of a little more subjective. So anywho, I will play just the lead vocal. So I'll go ahead and mute all these other tracks here. My background vocals and my ad libs. And the reason why I'm muting them on the tracks and not just the auxiliaries themselves is because I have some reverb sends that are in pre-fader metering directly on the tracks. So unless I mute these individual tracks, these will not get muted. And I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and listen to just the lead vocal. I'll start right here at the beginning with the intro.
I've been thinking about you all day long. Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body. no condor. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Climbing high to the heavens, bless me with this lap dance. Silhouette.
So you get the idea. I don't have to play the whole thing. The vocal is very forward, very balanced. There are some things that I would prefer the vocal to be different, but I wasn't given, much of an option. The artist records this in their bedroom. And so a lot of the issue is he can't really hit certain, he can't sing as loud as he wants because he has no acoustic treatment in his room. And when he sings loud, you can hear kind of the reverb of the room and that echo. And so I know there are parts on here where he could have sang a little bit different or a little bit better, but I know he's limited on not only just his room, but also his knowledge and understanding of kind of how to even do a lot of this stuff. He's an artist. I helped him set up his studio, or kind of gave him some equipment to help him set up, and he's still learning. And so it's just a struggle for him to get the sound that you would be able to get from, recording in a professional studio. So the background or the lead vocals are really good as far as performance. And let me go ahead and mute all of these plugins so you can hear what the lead vocal sounds like without any processing. So this is the lead vocal without any plugins, any processing, no reverb, delay, no nothing.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body. Let me chase your body, embrace your body. Can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body. Can I own your body? Let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend.
Okay, so that's how it sounded originally, and my very first move that I do with all of my vocals is EQ. Sometimes I do de-essing, but with this particular vocal, there wasn't a lot of sibilance. I also did some manual adjustments on the track. Anything that I thought that was too high, I would just select the sibilance and just drop it down. But this EQ is pretty fairly simple. I had some little dynamic EQ notches in here, but I decided to go with a more kind of natural kind of sound. I was trying to remove some resonance, but I didn't like the tone that it was giving me with notching these EQ or notching these frequencies out. Kind of liked it a little bit more just kind of natural. So I just removed just a lot of the low end. I didn't boost any highs at this point, and I'll show you why here in a second. So this is what the vocal sounds like with the EQ.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body. Let me chase your body, embrace your body. Can I?
And now here is without the EQ, just so you can hear the reference or hear the difference.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste.
So just showing that this EQ move here is just really just to just remove any low end that I really just don't need or want. And then from there, we are going into a Neve 1073 emulation plugin from Universal. Now, I went with this because I know a little bit about the setup that the artist is using. They're not going through a preamp. They're going directly into a inbox. If any of y'all know what that is, I gave him my old inbox to set up his studio, and so he's running out of an inbox into a Mac computer. And so I know he's not using a preamp. And so I was thinking what I wanted to do before I even kind of start processing this signal is kind of add a little bit of saturation. And also with this particular model, there is some EQ filters on here. So I added some EQ from this particular plugin to get just some analog color and character. Now, something that I learned about this plugin that I didn't know before, I'll share that with you, is if you have this in line input, you can't use these EQs. Or I guess I should say that the EQs are, they don't work on the line input. The line input bypasses the EQ because I had it set on line input, and I was adjusting the EQ, and I was just like, damn, like I really just don't hear any freaking difference at all. And I was just pressing a bunch of buttons trying to figure out kind of what was going on and why I wasn't able to hear anything. And then I switched it to mic, and all of a sudden the the vocal like changed super drastically, and specifically like more in like the frequency area. Like a lot of things were like unbalanced. It felt really weird. So I kind of reset the EQ, and then it kind of went back to sounding normal. So I'm not sure if that's something that I'm doing on my air or whatever, but just if y'all use this plugin, start with the mic input mode. Now, one thing I noticed with the mic input mode is that it started to sound overloaded and distorted and crunchy really easily. So I compensated by bringing this fader down quite a bit. I mean, typically it's at 0, but I brought it down really, really, really far, and then I compensated with this output gain knob right here. So it seems like a lot of complicated moves, but it really was kind of me just switching this into mic mode, and then I adjusted the EQ accordingly. All I'm really doing is just kind of a low shelf to reduce any more low frequencies that I don't want. And I'm also doing a high shelf boost to kind of give it some more air. So here is the vocal without the plugin, and then I'll unbypass it kind of halfway through.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can I own your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend.
So it definitely got a lot brighter. And here I'll mute the instrumental so you can hear the vocal a cappella and really hear kind of what this plugin is doing, because it's adding just this saturation to it that you get from 1073s. I used to record with one back when I was in school, in college, learning all this stuff, and I loved the 1073. And you know, I love all Neve products now. I own a Neve Shelfer channel, and highly recommend that preamp. It gives you some awesome tone, awesome color on everything. Super versatile preamp. But this 1073 plugin kind of adds a character to it. So check this out. Without the preamp.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can I own your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not. Your body on the moonlight so
Yeah, it's just adding a little bit of saturation and color and brightness to that vocal. And then I followed that up with the Oxide tape plugin from Universal Audio. I typically use a different tape emulation plugin, but I figured I would give this one a shot and see if I could get some color and tone out of it. And it really served its purpose. I like what it did with the vocal. So here is without, and then I'll unbypass it kind of halfway through.
your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can I own your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend to can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean.
So we just kind of added a little saturation of color. And also, I'm checking my chat right now. Sorry, I don't really have that chat window open in another window. I'm just, doing Pro Tools and kind of a separate thing. Why the 73? Is that for color? Yes, I use the 1073 for color. Like I said, the artist didn't record this using a preamp, and I typically like to use preamps going into Pro Tools. Just give some saturation and color. Ideally, I'd love to do it before it goes into Pro Tools, because my thought process is once it kind of gets turned into Pro Tools, or really just once it gets turned into digital audio, zeros and ones, it's hard to go back to that analog stage where you can really get this true analog warmth and saturation. Is there a reason for using the faders in pre-send? Yes, absolutely. I can talk a little bit more about that later, but really what I'm doing that for is, if it's in pre-fader send, if I make any adjustments on the volume on those individual tracks, it's not going to affect the reverb on those tracks, which a lot of times with background vocals, I like them to be sitting really kind of far in the back in the reverb. But I don't like the vocal to sound too up front, because then it competes with the lead vocals. So I'll turn the actual track of the background vocals down, and then I'll have the reverbs stay at where they are, so that way they still kind of fit in the mix, but they feel behind the lead vocal. And I can talk a little bit more about that later in the video. So I added the tape saturation, and the next step for me was adding some compression. So I love to use the LA2A for vocals. Reason why is because it's got a set kind of attack and release that works really well with vocals. It's not too harsh. It's not too aggressive, very smooth. Also, they have a high frequency kind of knob here that I adjust, so that way it tries to attenuate more of the upper frequencies and kind of doesn't focus on the bass and the resonance. The fundamental and the bass and the vocal can be the most loudest as far as like decibels, but it's also the least audible in comparison to like the sibilants and the higher frequency stuff. So I want to really kind of tame that higher frequency stuff and try to avoid kind of compressing the low end frequencies and the fundamentals, so I can really kind of keep the same tone. Also, what kind of happens is if you have these compressors and you don't have some type of side chain or high frequency filter or anything like that, and you go to compress it, it makes the vocal feel a lot more it gives like a lot more low end to the vocal. So if I'm using compression, I use the LA2A, and I like to filter off the low end stuff. I don't use the mix knob. I keep that at 100%. I'm learning recently that I just don't like to do the mix knobs within plugins when I'm affecting the lead vocal. I want to just have the lead vocal kind of be just exactly kind of, what it is going through these plugins. I don't want to have split channels or anything like that. So here is without, and then I'll unbypass it kind of halfway through.
Your body on the moonlight so. Your body on the moonlight so crazy. It's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch.
All right, get to some CPU overload stuff here. So what's going on? We're doing good. What happened?
Your body on the moonlight so crazy.
Okay. Apparently. Now I'm going to overload it. All right, I'm going to make these inactive and see if that kind of helps me out a little bit here.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy. It's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can I own your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you, I can't pretend.
So if you can see on your end, it might be hard to see if it's glitchy or whatever, but there's not much compression going on. I mean, this needle kind of barely moves, and it's only kind of moving on the parts where he's kind of singing kind of just, a little bit more. And so it's just kind of uh, rounding off the vocal and making everything feel a little bit more uniform as far as the performance. It's just tightening up the performance. So listen again without the plugin.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your.
And now here's with the plugin.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please.
Now, you might be thinking there's just a volume difference, but this is actually not really it's not a volume thing. This particular compressor kind of adds a little bit more high frequency to whatever you're running through it. If you put a plug-in analyzer before and after, you can kind of see kind of what's going on the EQ curve, and you'll see there's a little bump kind of up in the higher stuff like 2K, 3K, 4K. And that kind of explains why I like it on vocals, is because it adds that little bit of breath and airiness to the vocal at the same time as kind of compressing it. So I think that's kind of just a way that this plugin and maybe the compressor itself was designed. I've never used a LA2A. There was a Warm Audio 2A, or a WA2A, I think is what it's called, that I wanted to use in a studio one time, but it was broken. I don't know how it was broken, or maybe it wasn't wired correctly, but I was feeding stuff through it and just nothing. I could not get it to work. And I mean, it's almost impossible to screw up making that work. It's only got two knobs, peak reduction and gain. So it should have been working, but it wasn't. So don't know if the actual units themselves have the same character, but I assume they do. And then I followed that up with Pro Q, and again, just removing low end. I was really kind of conservative with that. I did everything kind of 17 hertz and lower, just to make sure the audio was clean. And then I did a really significant boost at like 1 point something. What is this? 1K. So 1085. So basically 1K. I did a significant boost. I did 6 dB because I wanted to get some more brightness in the vocal. I think it just wasn't bright enough for me at this point, and so this is what the vocal sounds like without it.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your.
And now here's the vocal with the EQ.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your.
So just wanted more of that airiness and breathiness, and it kind of starts to sound at this point a little, I like to call it kind of fuzzy, because there's so much EQ kind of going on in this high end. It's getting really fuzzy, but I kind of like it. And then I followed that, excuse me, with a multi-band compressor. Now I use a multi-band compressor on vocals just to kind of tame certain frequencies. What I found is that there are certain notes that artists will sing and kind of hit, and those certain frequencies kind of like poke out a little bit more than others. And so by using a multi-band compressor, I can kind of hone in on specific frequencies and figure out, Try the Avalon. Yeah, I actually have an Avalon. I love the Avalon. I track all my vocals using the Avalon. It's got a 32K band, air band that I use, and um, all my vocals sound really clean going in, man. So yeah, you're right. The Avalon's great. I love the Avalon. It was one of my wish lists for a long time, and I finally got it. It was kind of like back in the pandemic when everything was on hold and I had to wait. I had to wait. They had to order some more and they were on hold and wait. And finally I got one. So yeah, Avalon's great. I was using the plugin before that from Universal Audio, but I'm telling you, man, the Neve is where it's at. Like I love my Avalon. Don't get me wrong, but the Neve, it's a totally different tone, man. The Avalon's very clean though, and I love the EQ and the functionality of it. You got a lot of compression options and a lot of EQ options. So Avalon VT 737, dope preamp, dope compressor, dope EQ, really really awesome. I think it's most noted for doing stuff with Michael Jackson. That's what I always saw first when I read stuff about it. But anywho, yeah, man, I'll try the Avalon maybe next. Uh, so the multi-band compressor is taming just specific frequencies, um, kind of just rounding things off a little bit more. So here is without the multi-band compressor.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body.
And here is with the compressor.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your.
And so what you'll see is what it's kind of doing is on the sibilance, it's pushing that down a little bit. So this is kind of acting as kind of a de-esser after the fact of me kind of compressing it, adding EQ, 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 EQ. So I've kind of been doing all these moves to kind of boost this area. Now I kind of want to tame it. So it's kind of just sitting here, and when, there's sibilance, it kind of hits it and pulls it down a little bit. And I'm not doing much. I don't want to really crush it. I'm only doing like 3 dB, I'm only doing like 4 dB. 4.5, I think, is where this is at. So 4.5 dB. In the mid range, there's kind of some stuff later on that where this kind of just kind of helps round things off where it's doing stuff. And then there's kind of a little bump here in the low end. Again, just kind of controlling some of the frequencies that I don't want to end up in my mix. And that was my lead vocal change. So here is a quick before and after of all of my processing. So here is before.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body, I gotta please your body, wanna know your body.
And now here is after.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste.
So I crisped it up, I compressed it, kind of just gave it this kind of bright shimmeriness. And I'll add the beat now so you can kind of hear that in context. So here is once again before.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna.
And now here is after.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna.
So it just kind of brightened it up and pushed it a little bit more forward into the mix. The next process was to get my background vocals to kind of fit, and with that, I don't know what you're asking me there. What does having a slow release accomplish? I don't really know, man. I just kind of if you're talking about the multi-band compressor, I just kind of just, put stuff on there and kind of, see what sounds best. If it's slow or fast, doesn't really matter. I just kind of go with what sounds right. So the next step was the background vocals. And this kind of brings up my point with, or not brings up my point, but it kind of talks about why I have these in pre-fader metering. So let's make this active. And I'll mute the lead vocals for now. So let's play a section of the background vocals here.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
Okay, so I have some effects on here. So let me do this. I have some effects on here, right? So I'll unmute this. I'm kind of unmuting this a little bit earlier than I would like to, but just to explain why I'm using pre-fader metering. All right, so let's see. Let's mute. This stuff for a second. And just keep my reverbs playing. So let's see if we can get these backgrounds playing here.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
So it's still pre-fader metering. I'd have to mute those. So, all right, this is why it's in pre-fader metering. So what's happening is, all right, there we go. That'll get rid of that. So here's what's happening, right? So if I
can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't.
So let's say, I'm just going to turn these up for a little bit. Let's see. Let's do a quick save as, because this is the actual session. I don't want to fuck up my session. Live. All right, so now I can kind of screw around with this and not worry about screwing up the session. So let's say I turn these background vocals, let's turn these reverbs up so we can hear them a little bit more.
I can't pretend. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to.
Okay, so because they're in pre-fader metering, if I turn down the volume here, let me go to the tracks here so I can just turn these down, make it a little bit more white. So if I turn down the volume of these tracks, right, they're in pre-fader metering. So they're going to send the signal regardless of where this volume's at.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you.
So it gives me control of the reverb as well as control of kind of the dry send, and I can kind of blend the two together.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
So it allows me to kind of move the space of the vocal. I can make it sound more forward or more further away. So for example, I'll kind of make it sound really close and then I'll make it sound further away.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
So it lets me control them individually because, like I said, with the background vocals, sometimes I want them to fit in the back, but I don't want the actual vocals themselves to be up front and compete with the lead vocal. So this allows me to kind of move things around and let it kind of sit in different places of the mix. If I automate this to, if I automate this volume up, the volume will come up more and it'll sound more forward, more in your face, more in the mix. And if I pull this down, it'll sound further away in the back because the reverb won't change. Now check this out. When I have these sends not in pre-fader metering, so we'll change this one too. So when they're not in pre-fader metering, look what happens.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend.
So the reverb disappears when I pull this vocal down.
I can't pretend to. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you.
All right, yeah, I got you. Too much CPU overload. So that's why it's in pre-fader metering. It's in pre-fader metering to allow me to have the ability to place it in a space, keep it in that space, but then control the presence of it by adjusting the volume of the track itself that feeds the bus. So that's why it's in pre-fader metering, to answer your question. Moving on. So my process with the background vocals was to, again, kind of make them kind of mesh and blend with the lead vocals. So I'll get the lead vocals playing here, and then I will play these background vocals. And let me get things kind of back where they were, or at least close enough to it. Pull these down. They were like down here. These were kind of, I'll figure out where I had them blended. I'll know kind of just from listening. So I'll play this part of the song with the lead vocal and the background vocals together. And I'm going to take out all of my effects, and I'll get back to those later.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to want to get a little bit. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to want to get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to handle. Like ice water dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
So I just kind of just blended them to kind of just fit where I wanted them to fit. I didn't want them to compete, so I put one in the left speaker and I put one in the right speaker. I typically do that with background vocals. It gives a nice spread to things. A lot of artists will record 3 layers and have one in the middle and 2, or one on the left, one on the right. Same kind of thought process, just, as long as you have one pan to the left, one pan to the right, it kind of gives you this widespread kind of chorusy kind of feel. So I did that with my background vocals. And then he's got some other background kind of harmonies that he did that he actually did 5 of them, but I actually only ended up kind of using, no, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. He ended up having like 6 or 7 of them, but I only ended up using 4 of them. He wanted them to have a bigger feel, and so I have these kind of panned right here, and he said they kind of were the things that he focused on the most. So this is what these sound like.
I can't pretend. Wobble, say I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to want to get a little.
So just kind of some harmonies in the background to kind of help make that vocal feel a little bit more powerful right there. And with the music and everything, it sounds like this.
Wobble, say I can't pretend to act like I can't see you.
So it's cool. It's not competing with the lead vocal. And there's some more stuff kind of going on down here, but it's pretty much a repeat of all the other chorus stuff at the same time. So my background vocals were relatively easy with this session. I didn't have too many to work with. So I just kind of just panned, what I had left and right, and that was that. Similarly with the background vocals, I kind of did the exact same processing in the beginning. So what I always will do is, once I get kind of my lead vocal plugins together, I just take those plugins and just kind of copy them over to my background vocals. That way all the settings are kind of similar, because ultimately these vocals, I kind of want them to have the same kind of texture and sound, but I might kind of switch up some things. So let's take a look. Let's see. With the EQ, we got some more filters, and I got some brightness kind of up there. I kind of have a... Oh, so check this out. This is actually side chained. So I have a send coming from my... let's see here. Come on. I have a send coming from the track that is a side chain, and it's in pre-fader metering, so that way the volume of the send is not affected by the volume of the fader on the track. And that's sending to really multiple things, but one of the things I have it going to is this EQ that's on my background vocals. So this way it's kind of attenuating those frequencies that are competing with the lead vocal, so that they're not clashing. So here is what that looks like.
Act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to handle. Like I sweat a dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling.
So you'll see this EQ won't work, or it won't compress things if I have these sends bypassed.
Act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. Act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. Act like I can't see you, I can't pretend.
So you'll see it's kind of affecting, what it's doing is it's dropping these frequencies down in the areas where there's these little red kind of notches. And those are competing frequencies. So this EQ kind of has this little ability where you can let it kind of show you. But I also kind of just use my ears a little bit. Usually it's right. So I kind of like, just going off of where this red stuff is. Typically it's kind of where the fundamental frequency of the lead vocal kind of is. So you'll see kind of as this lead vocal is kind of moving up right here, this one's kind of like dropping down, and then kind of there's some other stuff kind of in the mid-range that kind of competes a little bit, and definitely the sibilance area is an area where there's a lot of competing frequencies for the lead vocal. So that's why that's all there. And then similarly, I have a Neve 1073 on here just to kind of give it a little more analog saturation and color, followed by an oxide tape emulation. Then I have the LA2A on here. So let's see how much compression this is doing on the busiest part of the song, which is right here where all these background vocals are playing.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
So it's doing a little bit more than the lead vocal. Like it's really kind of hitting right here. What is this, like negative 3 dB? So it's really kind of like doing 3 dB of gain reduction and compression to kind of just glue everything together, bring everything together, and kind of make it more balanced. But if you kind of listen on the beginning part in this verse, it's probably not doing that much.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
Right? So part of this process is finding that balance. My compressor doesn't have to be compressing all the time. It only needs to compress when it needs to. Um, so that's something you want to keep in mind when you're adding compression to your background vocals and your vocals. Think about how that compressor reacts to the signals that you're putting in it, and the balance of your mix and all the things that you're sending to it. Think about how they all affect that compressor and what you're trying to accomplish with that compressor, because what you can do is end up getting over compressed vocals in certain parts, but then everything else sounds okay. So figure out that balance, figure out how you got to fix it. The next move that I made was a Pro Q, similar EQ move. Like the lead vocal, I boosted a lot of the highs, removed a lot of the lows. I removed a lot more of the lows than I did in the lead vocal, and then the excuse me. And then I boosted up the highs, followed by a multi-band compressor. Now, similarly to the EQ, I have this side chained with the lead vocal, so the lead vocal is triggering the multi-band compressor.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like.
Set this up so it's not sending it, actually it's set up not to.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you.
So it's compressing just kind of really just this low end right here, kind of making sure the fundamental frequency doesn't get competed with. Also kind of controlling that low end a little bit. After adding all that compression, there's kind of some buildups in certain parts. So let's check out what this is doing on the biggest part of the background vocals, which is going to be in this area right here.
That booty dribble, wobble.
Of course.
That booty dribble, wobble. Say.
Okay, so apparently my computer can't keep up with it. Let's figure out how we're going to fix this. So the lead vocal is fine. I guess what I need to do is make this inactive. Let's see if that fixes the problem. It did not fix the problem. Having a CPU overload, it could be that it just can't handle this plugin. But anywho, what's happening is it's compressing these frequencies right here, and is playing. So then, much the same process. The ad-lib vocals. So on the ad vocals, I have a few others here. Some of them, this one is set up to do, so is that one. So these little notch filters right here are set up to EQ certain frequencies out of the ad-libs that compete with the lead vocal, followed with a Neve 1073. Oxide tape, LA2A, another EQ kind of doing some more stuff. This one is not sidechained. This is just attenuating just the frequencies. And then it is followed with a multi-band compressor. And it's doing some scoops here and here. And that is sidechained, so if the lead vocal kicks in, it is compressing right here. So that way, there are certain parts in the ad-libs that are actually not really kind of overlapping with the lead vocal. Let's see if I can find specifically where those parts are. Yeah, so like right here. So this is a part where actually me and the artist had a serious talk about this. My first original mix that I had sent him, I had kind of approached these ad-libs a different way. I kind of went for more just not the vision that he had in mind. So you'll hear right here in this ad-lib, it's kind of in between the lead vocal and the background vocals. And so at that point, the multi-band compressor will not be doing anything. So check this out. Okay, I guess not. All right, how do I fix this problem? Let's see. Let's do this. I really just don't have a setup that works great for doing live streams. It just doesn't. My computer does not like doing live streams and working on music at the same time, which is why I have to do all these mix breakdowns at the end. I know a lot of people probably want to see this all done live to get a better idea of what it is that I'm doing and how I'm approaching it. But unfortunately, when I try to do live mixing, it's just so laggy and glitchy. I can't do it. So, anywho, hopefully, let's see if some of these changes that I've made help fix that problem. So once again, I'm going to try to play this area right here to show you that this compressor is only working when the lead vocal is doing something.
Angel, falling like an angel, climbing high to the heavens, bless me with this lab.
Okay, see, so if we play it right here, you'll see that all of these kind of vocals are being attenuated right here.
How to handle, like I water dripping, you be shining with no candle, sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
So you hear that that breathy that he kind of does. There's no kind of compression going on there, no side chaining, because I don't want it to be affected right there. So that's why that side chaining kind of works so well.
Water dripping, you be shining with no candle, sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel, falling like an angel, climbing high to.
So right when that lead vocal kind of kicks back in, that little angel part that he's singing right there kind of ducks out of the way a little bit.
Angel, falling like an angel, climbing high.
Now we're back to CPU overload, so that didn't take long. So anyway, that's the purpose of doing the side chaining and what it's doing right there. And that is my approach to my vocals. So let's see how far this thing will let me go here. So let's do a section of these vocals. Let's do right here. let's do a before and after. So here is all the vocals before any processing.
Your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see. I can't pretend to. I just wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to.
And now here is with all of the plugins and processing.
Your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see. I can't pretend to. I just wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you.
So you'll see that they're kind of doing their thing right there, and then I'll play this part just specifically because I was talking about it so you can hear how that sounds.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel, falling like an angel, climbing high.
So, yeah, that's how all of my processing sounds. So once I get my processing tight, then I get to spatial effects. Now, I really spend a lot more time than I probably should on spatial effects, but it's because I don't like doing just static, like a reverb on the track, a delay on the track. I like to add movement. I like to have changes, have things sound unique and different. And also just I want the vocal to sound good without really kind of any effects on it, because effects essentially kind of smear everything around and hide the imperfection. So I try to get it as clean as possible, and then I start kind of just imperfecting it. Not really, but like just because reverb really enhances the song more than anything, but it also at the same time, it kind of hides those imperfections. Like if you're trying to mix the song and you have reverb on there, you can easily kind of miss things because the reverb just kind of just makes things sound so much better. So I like to get it nice and cool, crisp, clean, so that way I can start adding my effects. Now let's go into these effect chains here. I had to make this inactive because it was glitching out on me so much, but let's see if I can figure out how to get this to work here. Let's see, make active. So I actually think I know what I'm going to do, and this will help with my CPU and my processing. It'll kind of help demonstrate what you can do. So all of my processing is kind of happening on these 3 tracks right here. If I make this bigger, let's see, what's the command for it? M? Yes, there we go. So if you kind of see here, these auxiliary tracks, these are my vocals. And these numbers down here kind of tell me that there's some delay going on because of all the processing. Now, this isn't an issue when I'm not doing live streams, but right now I think, with all these plugins, my CPU just can't keep up with it. So if you have this problem with your computer, you got a lot of plugins, and you just keep having these overloads, look towards your mix window, and you can enable show delay compensation, and that way you'll see these numbers, and it'll kind of show you with the colors, which tracks you need to address. When they're orange, they're definitely got some latency things, and when they're red, it's like a critical situation. Like if you see red on these tracks, like, yeah, you got way too much plugins. Try to convert and bounce some stuff. So that's a cool way to kind of keep up with your tracks and your latency, and if you're having problems with plugins. So I'm having problems with the live stream, so what I want to do is actually select these tracks and make sure these are the only tracks selected, and then I'm going to right click and hit freeze. Now what freeze is going to do is print these auxiliary tracks and kind of create like audio files that kind of operate in the background as a placeholder for these auxiliary tracks. And this will also bypass all of the plugins that are on these tracks and free up the CPU power. The sends will still function the exact same. You can adjust the sends, and it won't, you know, uh, cause problems for you trying to mix the reverb and the delay. So let's say you get your lead vocal, background vocals, and all your other vocals just tight and it's good. You can freeze these auxiliary tracks, and then you can kind of work on your spatial processing, having more CPU power and knowing that there's not as much delay and latency. So let's do that real quick. I'm not sure if my talkback mic's going to work, so I'm going to press freeze, kind of give it a test run and see what happens. You may not be able to communicate, or I may not be able to talk for a while. So let's see what happens. All right, mic check, mic check, mic check. Okay, cool. My mic came back on. All right, I'm not sure what happened there. I kind of just lost my microphone for a second. So now you'll see that I have frozen these auxiliary tracks, and now there are these kind of audio clips kind of there. And it's kind of cool because you can now kind of visually see kind of what all your processing is doing. And sometimes you'll see there like peaks or there might be some crazy weird looking stuff that maybe you didn't hear, but then when you actually like see it as an audio waveform, you might go in and kind of make some adjustments just to um, just to kind of just make sure everything is perfect, everything is nice and neat and tidy. You'd be surprised at how much of a difference it makes just with you just looking at the audio waveform and seeing if there's like this tiny little peak that, is like, making your compressor or making something, operate, or compress more than it should just based off of the dB signal. You might not even audibly even hear it sometimes. That's what I've noticed is these little pops and these glitches that, um, make your signal, I guess makes the limiter work, a little bit harder, or compressor works a little bit harder, whatever. These little glitches are, you know, you just don't hear them. Let's see. Anyway, so these are now audio tracks. So now let's see if we can get these to play. So I have a send here. Once again, it is pre-fader metering, so that way I'm able to control how much reverb I want and get a control of the dry and wet signal. And the way I kind of went about this track is I had 4 or 5 main reverbs kind of doing stuff in different sections of the song. Now I'm sending an equal amount to all of these reverbs, but I'm just adjusting the volume of these reverbs as the track kind of plays. So I have the hall reverb that's playing kind of throughout the entire song, and that's just kind of the noise, or I guess not the noise, but I guess like the main component to the lead vocal kind of sound. So let's check out how just that sounds. And I'm using a vintage Valhalla vintage verb, 2.7 seconds, pre-delays at 0. And these are the other settings if you want to take a look at those. But let's check out how that reverb sounds.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crazy.
Okay, so actually that one's not doing anything. So this is a hall verb, and what's going on there is, let me double check, make sure I'm saying this right. Yeah, so the hall verb is only on certain tracks, right? So here, if I scroll over here, we can kind of see. So it's just on the ad-libs. It's not on the background vocals. The background vocals are going to the vocal verb send, or the vocal verb send, and then the lead vocal is also going to the vocal verb send. And then the ad-libs are all going to the hall verb. So the only time the hall verb is actually even doing anything is when the ad-libs kick in. So let's check out what it sounds like if we mute our lead vocal and background vocal and just kind of play some of these ad-libs.
Crazy, craving, body, 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 can't pretend to. I can't pretend to. Motion.
So you'll see the ad-libs are relatively kind of dry. I mean, considering kind of where I kind of placed everything in this vocal, those ad-libs are really kind of dry. And I kind of do that a lot of times because I want the ad-libs to kind of just come and go. If I add reverb to them, sometimes they kind of stand out a little bit more than they should. But sometimes it helps. So with this particular track, I kind of went for more of a dry approach. So that's the only time you ever really hear what's going on in the hall reverb is when these ad libs kind of kick in, and then there's a couple other sections or a couple other things that have the hall reverb on it. I got some delay throws that are going to those as well, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So that's the hall reverb. The next one is the small plate, and that's kind of the one that's doing the verses. So let's check out how that sounds. Let's unmute the lead vocal, and here's how that sounds.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can I own your body, let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you, I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
So this is the pure plate reverb plugin from Universal Audio. Love this thing. It's got some pre-delay on here, relatively small time, but it sounds just huge. Like, I mean, what is this, like? It's less than 2 seconds, but I mean, it sounds like a freaking like 5-10 second long reverb.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body,
Like, you hear what I mean? Like, I pressed stop and it like echoed out for like so long. So like using this plugin is great because it gives me this super lush reverb plate that I love. And with the beat, it sounds even better. So here's with the beat.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase.
So it just adds that space. So remember I was talking about how it I get the lead vocal to sound good. So listen to it without the effects, and then I'll just add it in there, and you'll see how it just complements the lead vocal already.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body wanna taste your body, let me chase your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can.
So I kind of have that just going on through the verses. I did some automation here. You can see these little green lines. That means there's volume automation. So if I pull up the volume fader of this track, you'll see in these sections right here where it switches to the chorus, the small plate will no longer be working.
Like I sweat a dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an egg.
So on the chorus, I use the EMT 140 plugin, and I'll play that now so you can hear what that sounds like.
Shine. You flaming hot and you too hot to handle. Like I sweat a dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Climbing high to the heavens, bless me with this lab.
So my reason for doing this was the EMT had a little bit more of a brighter, shimmery kind of character to it, which I wanted in the choruses. I wanted the choruses to really be the biggest part, and because this particular reverb plugin sounded the coolest to me in that regard, that was the one that I chose. Now I went through probably, I think, oh man, like over here, if you look in my group list, I actually have like a couple like other reverbs that are hidden. I have the shimmer and the medium plate that are hidden. So I was kind of testing those out, but I didn't like the way that those sounded. I ultimately settled on using some different reverbs. Also, I have a different reverb on the intro. I decided to use a different reverb on the intro than in everything else. So here's the reverb for the intro.
about you all day long. Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of.
So slightly different settings in the pure plate. So we have the small plate and the large plate. And what I did was increase the reverb time and increase the pre-delay, and I kind of turned up some of the treble a little bit so that way it would um, just sound brighter and bigger. And I guess I did that just in the intro in this particular song. I might have tried it in other places, or might have just forgot. Honestly, now that I'm kind of looking at it, I'm wishing I kind of used it in some other places to be more creative. Also, if you're looking at this mix knob, it says dry wet, but it also has down here this wet solo option. So I'm using this in full wet. So wet solo. If I had this off, then I could have a blend of wet and dry, but I don't want that. This is a reverb send, so I want a full wet signal. So there's that, and I mean honestly, that's such like a large reverb. I would probably even like try to like maybe use that maybe like on the outro areas and see maybe how that would sound. So let's see, just out of curiosity, let's do some experimenting and see how that would sound in this area. So that's kind of cool. I kind of like it. I mean, I'm not gonna, leave it in there because the artist approved the mix. Everything sounded great how it was. So, however I had it, I had it. That's sometimes the thing with this too. Like, there's no right or wrong answer. Like, I may have done something that may just seem kind of just random and out of the ordinary, but at the end of the day, the song sounded good. So if I had used 20 reverbs on this song, which would be completely kind of ridiculous, but if the song sounded good, then the 20 reverbs did their job, whether they really did anything or not. But the point is, if it sounds good, it is good. So there's that, right there. The next thing that I did was kind of in the B side. So that's kind of another interesting thing. So let's put that back in. And so on the B side, I guess is what I called it. I don't know if it's actually called a B side, but in these sections right here, kind of before he kind of goes into the last kind of section of his verse before it goes into the hook, he kind of has this repeated section right here. So check this out.
On your body, let me on your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
Got that part, the I can't pretend, I don't want to get a little bit, and it repeats kind of in between, kind of in the verses before it kind of goes into like that next section that brings into the I guess as the pre-chorus. Now that I'm listening to it, when I named this, I didn't really kind of know the structure. I just kind of just went through and named it, but I have it only in this area, so I'll mute the instrumental so you can really hear kind of what that room reverb is doing.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
So it's just slightly there, just adding a little bit of extra something to it.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. I can't
So it's just adding just a little bit of something to there. And this is using the Valhalla Room, which surprisingly enough, like this reverb actually sounds kind of just like like look at the preset. Its reverb mode is large chamber and large ambience. I mean, even though this says like Valhalla Room, and I would consider a room like kind of being like a drum room or like a bathroom or, like a smaller, tighter space, this thing can get some pretty big sounding reverbs. So I use this on the I use it on the pre-chorus section, and this is what kind of all these reverbs kind of sound like added up together. I'll play it from the beginning of the B-side. That sounds like a good place to start.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to handle. Like I water dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Falling like an angel. Climbing high to the heavens. Bless me with this lap dance. Come on. Silhouette in the spotlight so perfect.
So once I added my reverb, then we moved on to the delay, which is kind of a similar way that I go about doing it. I just have preset delay templates that I kind of use, and one of them is all the time. So it has like 84th notes. Or 64th notes. I can't remember what the division is. I think it's 64th notes. And then it has 32, and then it has 24, 12, eighth notes, quarter notes, half notes, all the way up to whole notes, which the whole notes at that point are kind of like delay throws, but I have it in there just in case. I never know. And the way that that's set up is on my tracks, I have just a vocal delay send, where my vocals are constantly sending to all of these delays simultaneously. So what I basically do is decide kind of which delays I want to add into the mix at certain places. And so I will mute my reverbs for right now and focus on these delays right here. So you'll see I only have them in kind of certain places, right? I mostly have the quarter note delay kind of going throughout the whole song, but then in other places I also have eighth notes, and then I also have 16th notes. And the 16th notes I placed in the chorus sections because I kind of wanted to add more fullness. They're kind of working as kind of like slapback delays. So let's listen to what those sound like first. So check these out.
Like I water dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Falling like an angel. Climbing high to the heavens. Bless me with this lap dance.
So you can really hear it when he goes on the lap dance part. Listen to when on kind of the ending and that echoey kind of sound at the end of lap dance.
Heavens, bless me with this lap dance.
So it's kind of adding that kind of like echoey kind of part just kind of at the end of his words. And that's what I kind of wanted. I wanted there to be just kind of more going on with the chorus section, more kind of interesting kind of elements. And I mean, when you have the music playing with that, you probably don't even hear it, honestly.
Heavens, bless me with this lap dance.
I mean, yeah, it's there, but it's like subtly there, and it's kind of adding that kind of like kind of cool kind of effect to kind of like make it just sound different. So here's without.
Heavens, bless me with this lap dance. Heavens, bless me with this lap.
Yeah, it's just kind of adding this cool kind of like slap kind of delay. And I've also added an eighth delay to the chorus as well. So here is that eighth delay.
Like I water dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Climbing high to the heavens, bless me with this lap dance.
This one is doing some kind of like some ping ponging stuff. Like one side is set to a different rate than the other side. One side is doing kind of a negative feedback, and the other side is doing a positive feedback. Um, couldn't really tell you what that is because I just know it sounds different. I don't really quite know how to explain it. It kind of feels like the feedback is just different. I just don't know how to explain it. I just do them differently. And I do this to kind of give it this kind of like wobbly like effect. So I guess um, there's volume automation on here, so it'll automatically adjust to that. But let's turn this off temporarily, and I'll turn that up so you can really hear it.
Like ice water dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Climbing high to the heavens, bless me with this lap dance.
So it's kind of adding this echoey, kind of shimmery kind of effect to kind of bounce around and kind of give some ear candy. I love doing stuff like that with delays, and I chose to add it right here in the chorus, which I don't know why I didn't add it in this second chorus. That's something that I probably should have addressed at some point. So I might actually make a little note here just to fix that, because that's something that I should fix. I need to fix that. So this is good. I'm kind of actually seeing that I made some mistakes in here, and I'm going to go through and make a note, add eighth delay to second chorus, adjust doubler on lead vocal. So this is kind of a work in process, but not quite. So I have like a little note thing that I've been doing here. The artist is kind of very experimental. He's already kind of said that if he doesn't like any of these future changes that we make, that he plans on just sticking with mix number 10, which is the mix that I played at the very beginning of this session. Um, he he um, he's very experimental, and he was like, hey, let's try adding a doubler, hey, let's try adding a flanger, let's try adding this, let's try adding that. And it's more of just he's just curious. He's approved of the mix, but he has some time before the song releases, which, by the way, this song is releasing in next month, April, specifically the day that the solar eclipse is happening, which this is supposed to be like an event that only happens every 800 years or something like that. So hey, everyone, go out and check out the solar eclipse, and see see what it looks like. I think it's only kind of rolling through certain areas, but if you can see it, go see it. So it's going to be releasing on that day. So y'all go check it out. Picasso AV. I'll try to leave a link to his Instagram and stuff like that in the description below. So anyway, working on this project, and I'll add that little eighth note delay in there just to kind of make sure everything's kind of even and uniform. So that's the eighth delay, and then quarter note delay. I got that doing kind of a lot. Well, not a lot, but I guess it's kind of doing more than the other delay. So here's what that sounds like.
Brace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body. Can I own your body? Let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to.
And what's interesting with this delay is it's actually feeding some of its signal to the reverbs as well. So I'll turn on these reverbs with this delay, so you can kind of see kind of what the full effect is kind of doing here.
Brace your body, can I tease your body? I gotta please your body, wanna know your body. Can I own your body? Let me own your body. I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to die.
I got some stuff that's pre-fader send on there, so but yeah, you kind of hear what it's kind of doing is it's sending that delay kind of to that reverb, so it's kind of making the reverb kind of feel kind of like more continuous and echoey. I like doing that with certain reverbs. Not every reverb I like to send to my reverb, or not every reverb I like. Not every delay I like to send to my reverb. If you kind of overdo it with delays, it kind of gets a little kind of weird. So that's my kind of my basic effects that I kind of do when I'm just kind of getting like the effects kind of started. Like this is kind of like the starting point for me, working on like the reverb and the delay and just kind of getting those together. Um, and then everything sounds like this.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see you. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream in motion. Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to handle. Like I sweat a dripping, you be shining with no candle. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like.
So that's what all of the kind of the basic kind of processing sounds like. And then from there, I start adding some flavor to it. Start kind of deciding what things I want to kind of accent and kind of bring out. And so I start adding delay throws. And the way I go about delay throws is I take a piece of the lead vocal or whatever it is that I'm trying to delay, and then I copy that down to a different track, and then I will process the hell out of it until I get the sound that I'm looking for. And I do that because I found that when I try to create a delay aux track like how I have for the vocals right now, right? Like if I try to create a delay throw on an aux track and I'm sending one part to it, I might get that one section or phrase to sound good, but then it doesn't always work on every other section and phrase like how I want it. I have like an idea or a vision in my head of how I want that delay to sound, and sometimes I have to make minor adjustments between delay throws, or if that makes sense, I have to make like minor adjustments on certain parts because it just doesn't have the feeling or the sound or the texture or whatever it is that I'm looking for. So when it comes to delay throws, I just make a duplicate of the audio track and just process the hell out of it until I get the sound that I'm looking for. Sometimes I'm able to get lucky and I can just, copy, the audio down or move it down to that track, and then it sounds exactly like kind of like how the other delay throws sound, and it works on the other parts. But then sometimes it doesn't, and I have to, create a new track and start over, adding different effects and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go through all these delay throws, but just I'll play them so you can kind of get an idea of kind of what they sound like, and kind of on the parts that they're adding.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch.
I'm not sure if you can hear that or not. Let me mute the beat.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough.
So you hear kind of how he says like crave it, like there's kind of that little echoey kind of thing right there. I had to manually put that in just because it didn't work in every part, and I kind of have it repeating down here in this other section too.
Body popping got me want to dive up in your ocean. You flaming hot and you too hot to.
So ocean echoes out just to kind of add, some excitement to that word and that phrase. And then I also have another delay throw down here that's kind of doing something else.
Wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a dream.
So that little bit is a really, really, really long, predominantly long echo. And I didn't want all of the words to really kind of sound like that, so it's only on certain places. And I did this kind of throughout the whole song, just kind of figuring out which ones I wanted to, I guess, which one, where I wanted to put it, how I wanted it to sound, testing things out. And, there were others in here that just didn't make the cut, and so they got deleted. But this is how all of my delay throws sound. So let me unmute all these and I'll kind of just play through them.
Wanna get a little bit. You bad looking like a sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel, climbing high to the heavens. Bless me with this lap dance. Perfect, baby, you so worth it. Then let me drop them dozen. Ceiling, falling like an angel, climbing high to the heavens. Bless me with this lap.
So like the climbing high, you can hear like it's climbing high, 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 and it kind of like echoes out. I did that intentionally because it kind of adds this kind of like this. It kind of makes it sound like, for lack of a better term, like trippy, kind of like if you were like taking drugs, like that echoey kind of feeling, like if like things started getting echoey. So like check it out how it sounds with the music and you know, see if you can kind of get the vibe I was going for.
Feeling, falling like an angel, climbing high to the heavens. Bless me with this lap dance.
So climbing high, 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 and it kind of like going kind of like into this kind of like phasey thing. So that's kind of what I was going for there, I guess. Or I guess I wanted it just to sound cool, and the delay made it sound cool. I don't know, but that's kind of what I did there. I found some delay throws to add in, and that's kind of like my little spicy little thing that I like to do. It takes quite a bit of time to do that. Sometimes, you know, anywhere from gosh, like as fast as 15 minutes to sometimes like an hour and a half, 2 hours, just depending on how many delay throws I have to add. But I do it kind of at the end because it is kind of a tedious process, and it really helps to kind of get everything else in place first. The next thing is I start adding kind of, you know, other kind of other kind of interesting effects. So in this one, kind of did a couple of things here. So I got a chorus effect that's playing on the chorus part to kind of make the chorus sound bigger. So here's the chorus section without the chorus.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
So that's without any chorus, and now here's with the chorus effect.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
And here's without the chorus effect.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
So it's just kind of adding that sound that I want.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
Really just kind of giving that cool kind of like effect that you kind of want on a chorus, right? Like you kind of want the chorus to be this cool kind of effect. So adding a chorus effect makes the chorus sound cool. Not always, but definitely with this style of music, it definitely works. It can work on a lot of other stuff too, if done right. The next thing was, excuse me. So there's this echo effect that I did where I took a piece of the vocal and I just chopped it up and repeated it out, and then did a bunch of other stuff to it to kind of give this kind of just like stuttery kind of effect. So here, let me solo it out.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an.
I guess it doesn't solo out like how I wanted, but you can hear it, right? I can't even do it out like in real life, but it's a stutter effect, right? So it's kind of doing this like echoing thing.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an.
without it.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an.
So I added that in there to kind of give character, kind of make that part feel just just cool, man. I'm going for coolness here. I just wanted stuff that really just kind of worked, and just kind of adding that kind of stuttering effect kind of worked. And that was like the first stutter effect that like I like came up with in this session. Later on, I had another interesting idea to do another stutter effect. So once I had that one, I copied it over to get this. So this is actually printed into the lead vocal, but what I have here is on the lead vocal. This was supposed to be one sustained note, so I'll kind of like maybe try to explain this a little bit better here. So he says, let me bring it back a little bit more.
Baby, you are my inception.
I'll bring it back a little bit more. Turn that off.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down.
So I kind of did this like kind of glitchy kind of effect because he's saying, baby, you are my inception. And I guess when I was thinking about that, I was thinking of, I like to do visual like things in my mind and think of like music videos and how I would visually represent this music. And in my mind, when it got to that part, like it'd be really cool if they did like this cool glitchy effect with like his face, and all of a sudden like he was like falling. Like it'd be just kind of really kind of cool to see something like that. So anywho, that was my idea in my head. And also he's saying you are my inception. And if you've seen the movie Inception, it's kind of like a mind thing. So I don't know, just in today's digital world, I think adding that kind of glitch thing kind of makes it feel like your brain's like getting hacked or something crazy.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down.
And then it was complemented by that stutter effect, and I just copied it down, and it just worked just perfectly. I mean, I just loved it, absolutely loved it. Now, originally, the way I had it originally when I sent it to the artist, he loved it, but it was very, very, it's more subtle, and it's kind of like, it's like incorporated into the song now, and it really works. Before, it was like, you're my incept, and it was like super loud and like echoey, and like it like took away from like the chorus for a little bit. So like when the chorus came in, you weren't thinking about the chorus, you were thinking about this effect that was like really kind of in your face and really annoying. And he said, hey man, that's really cool, but it's really loud, like can you turn it down a little bit? And after listening to it the next night, I was working on this mix for maybe I was like 8 hours in after editing the vocals and adding all my effects and delay throws and everything. And at about like the 8th hour, I started adding and working on this effect. And this is one of the last effects I did before I kind of like called it a night and sent it over to the client or the artist. And so, at the end of the night, you get ear fatigue, and sometimes the stuff that you think sounds really good is not. And I listened to it the next day, and it was really loud. So that was my thought process on that. And the way I accomplished it was just kind of just made these little, like if you're interested in doing that effect, all you really have to do is just chop out pieces of the vocals so it just sounds glitchy.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down from.
There's another kind of cool thing at the end here. I have a kind of a tape stop kind of thing going on the last little part here.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down.
There's also a flanger effect. I forgot to mention that. I have a flanger effect on the track that's doing some mix automation, so it shows up only in that last part. You'll hear it kind of come in.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down.
So it just kind of subtly kind of comes in only in the place that I want it, and then it gets, then it disappears. So that's what I did right there in that effect. And then the last little thing that I got going on here, on the last chorus, the request was the artist said, you know, I want the chorus at the end to be very, very, very busy. I want, you know, delays and this, that, and the other. And so really the only thing that was missing after I added the delay throws was just kind of this one little like part right here that I thought sounded cool. So I took the part where he says falling, and then I echoed that out to kind of help kind of emphasize that word of falling. So check this little fall echo out.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Climbing high.
So you hear that when after he says falling from an angel, and then there's falling, 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 falling. Listen again.
Like an angel. Climbing high to the.
So, yeah, those were all of my effects and all of my processing. And I'll add all my lead vocals and everything back in. And so just getting the blend on those, making sure all of those are good to go. And then I have all of my vocal effects, my lead vocal, background vocals, and ad-libs. So these tracks right here are all being routed to this vocal sub group right here, so I can easily just kind of quickly, you know, open and close the vocals and just kind of see everything that's going on in my session. I love using folders. It's really convenient for me. I know it's not everyone's thing. And then I have those two tracks being sent to this mix bus right here, where I'm doing a lot of limiting to get the sound loud for one. But it adds a certain character to the vocal by having this limiter on it. I've learned that by mixing into my limiter, I'm able to get a lot the mix that I really want, if that makes sense. You know, when I have a vision in mind when I hear these songs, and I also, you know, have an idea of like what popular, you know, modern music sounds like, and there's this sound that I kind of just wanted to have. And so from the beginning, I kind of just set my limiter to really kind of be doing at least a little bit of limiting just in the beginning when I'm doing the editing. I don't want there to be too much limiting, but enough to get it like loud to kind of have an idea of kind of where things are going to sit. And then when it comes to like the mixing, you know, I push that limiter down a lot to really get an idea of what it's going to sound like when it's mastered, and it gives it a certain type of style of sound. So before that, I hit it with the SSL compressor, just kind of some glue to kind of bring everything together. I sometimes will do a glue compressor on the instrumental folder and the vocals folder, but I kind of try to leave my folder stuff alone. I don't want there to be too many plugins that cause latency on those, because then it's going to affect the entire structure of my not the structure, but it will add latency to all of my tracks within the folder. At least that's what I've learned, and it causes just more latency down the line. So I try to leave my folder tracks kind of empty, kind of with nothing on them. I do a lot of my stuff on the auxiliary tracks. Oh man, yeah, about time to call it a night. So yeah, the SSL bus compressor. I love using this compressor on the master or my mix bus. It just sounds great. So the way I kind of go about that, kind of with all of my kind of final mixes, I will play kind of a section leading into what I believe is the biggest part of the chorus or the biggest part of the song, which for me, the biggest part is supposed to be the second chorus. It's when there's the most vocals and the most, I guess, audio signal that this compressor should have to deal with. So I kind of play a little area leading up into it to kind of know how the compressor sounds leading into it. These compressors, there's an attack release. And when it's on the mix bus, you have to remember, the attack and release are going to kind of fluctuate and move kind of with the track depending on where you set them. So you want to kind of give it some time to kind of get into the rhythm of what it's actually going to be doing when it hits the chorus. So I'll play the song with the compressor off, and then I'll bypass the compressor on the second pass through.
I can't pretend, yo, act like I can't see, I can't pretend, I just wanna get a little bit, you are with every move, you draw me closer, body language speaking, then they tell me to come over, it's a shame, baby, this is my confession, I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception, sliding down from the ceiling, falling like it.
So that's what it sounds like without the compressor on here, and now I'm going to play it with the compressor.
You are with every move, you draw me closer. Body language speaking, then they tell me to come over. It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down.
So it's just kind of gluing things around a little bit, and then in the chorus section, I'll play it just to kind of see kind of how it's sitting.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel.
So it's not really doing any more than 3 dB. It's not even getting to the 4 dB meter mark. I got a little makeup gain here. Slow attack, fast release, 4:1 ratio, and I'm doing a sidechain filter, kind of on pretty much. I don't really know what frequency this knob is at right now, but just whatever frequency this is, I just kind of adjust it and use my ears. And then we'll look at the limiter to kind of see what that's doing.
Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Falling like an angel, babe. Climbing high to the heavens.
So you'll see this limiter is limiting the absolute shit out of this song, but it's giving it a feel. It's giving that really loud in your face kind of what you want to hear pop R&B kind of sound. And so again, I feed into my limiter, and as I was doing the mix, I was pushing and pushing and pushing, and when I heard distortion, I would go through my signal chain and see where it was, and if it was the limiter, then I was pushing the limiter too hard, and I would bring the threshold up to kind of compensate and give me a little bit more headroom so that things could kind of breathe and kind of fit a little bit more together. At some point, this was doing a ridiculous amount of limiting, and I didn't quite notice it until I actually looked at the limiter, and it was at like some ridiculous number, like negative like 7 LUFS. If you're not familiar with like all that, it's kind of the closer that number is to 0, the louder it essentially is, but there's some compromise there. You kind of lose some balance, and your mix can kind of fall apart when you try to over limit or over master a song. And this song was like really, really, really crushed, and I kind of noticed it when I was kind of midway through the mix. I was just really kind of vibing and feeling the mix, and I just wanted it just loud And so I had the limiter on there and it was giving me the tone I was looking for. But then I eventually ran into the problem where I wanted things turned up. But when I tried to turn things up, all of a sudden there was this distortion. And then it was getting just to the point where the limiter was crushing my signal. And so it's important just to kind of know where like your meters and everything like that are sitting. Excuse me. So that you can just make sure that, like, you're not clipping and you're getting the best out of your tracks and not distorting the track. So that's pretty much the entire mix, my process and how I went about it. I think what I'm gonna do is I will select this track right here and this track. And what I'm going to do is open up tonal balance and let's open up Insight. And I will go through the different sections and just kind of do an A-B so you can kind of hear the comparison. So let's go ahead and do verse 1, and here is going to be my mix of, actually let's do a comparison here. So here is the original mix of verse 1. And now, so let's talk about this a little bit. So we got -10 integrated LUFS, momentary is at -8, so that's pretty loud. There's this nice little bump here in the bass, which I expect from this song. That's not really abnormal for this song. There's a dip kind of right here, kind of in this area. Whoops. Kind of a dip right here in this area, and then everything else kind of smooths out right here. So that's kind of cool. Now let's reset our meters. And let's see what my mix sounds like.
Your body on the moonlight so crazy, it's making me crave it. I can't get enough of your touch, your body, wanna taste your body, let me taste your body, embrace your body, can I tease your body, I gotta please your body, wanna know your body, can I own your body, let me own your body.
So what this plugin is, tonal balance control, is it kind of analyzes multiple genres of music and kind of just decides where like the frequency tonal balance should sit, where the frequency range should sit. And I like to use this just as a guide. A lot of times I use my ears mostly, but I use this as a guide just because sometimes I think a mix sounds good, but then when I look at tonal balance, it will have not enough low end on it. And it'll sound like it has a lot of low end to me in here or in my studio, but according to the meter, it's not. And so then I might have to, go back to the, mix and see, what I can do to change that if I need to change it. Sometimes I don't have to, and it's just the meter's just wrong and it's misleading. So don't always believe that these meters are right. Use your ears and decide what you think sounds good for the song. And that's a tough thing to really kind of, teach, what's the best for the song. So now let's kind of go further down the line. Let's listen to this B-side. We'll do a before, after. So here is the reference.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
And here is my version.
I can't pretend to act like I can't see. I can't pretend not to wanna get a little bit.
All right. And then let's do the final chorus. Let's do that part leading up into the chorus because it helps kind of with the effect in there. Of course, I want to show off my effect a little bit.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Falling like an angel, babe. Climbing high to the heavens.
And now here is my version.
It's a shame, baby, this is my confession. I really think I'm dreaming, baby, you are my inception. Sliding down from the ceiling, falling like an angel. Falling like an angel, babe. Climbing high.
So yeah, that's how I mixed and mastered the song Lap Dance. If y'all have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.